guys, Viktoriya Khusit here with VK Consulting, and today let's talk about what's new for filing period for year 2020. Basically, when we close a year, you're gonna issue W-2, and if you have a contractors, you're gonna issue a 1099 form. So for years we had a 1099 form miscellaneous, and you can see it on a picture here, for example, for 2019. And on this form, we would report rents, royalties, some other income, and most importantly, non-employee compensation. Anybody who you paid 600 or more during a tax year, you would report the income here under number 7. And if you withhold any taxes, you would put it in box number 4. But majority of us small businesses, we would use this form to report contractor pay and non-employee compensation. And a change comes to this form. So when comes the end of the year 2020, it's a different form if you need to report a non-employee compensation. You're still gonna have form 1099 miscellaneous, but non-employee compensation will not be reported on this form. So let's look. First, let's look at the form for 2020 1099 miscellaneous. And on this form, it's still the same. You would put the name, social security, federal tax ID number, name, address, and if you paid rents, royalties, other income, direct sales, federal income tax withhold of the income, basically everything that you would have reported before other than non-employee compensation, you would put on this form. And if you do need to report non-employee compensation, the ones that you used to put in box 7, now you will use a form 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation, and you would put a non-employee compensation in a box 1, and if you withhold any taxes, you would put in a box 4. It's for federal taxes and state taxes, but usually on average non-employee compensation, we don't withhold any taxes. Usually we pass this responsibility to your contractor, to your vendor. This is a new thing, and you might not be aware of it when you filing year end. If you filing manually, you need to keep in mind that there is 2 forms. If you filing your year end paperwork using a software, for example, Quickbooks Online, they will have 2 forms in a system, but you have to do some changes to your accounts. Let's look at the actual QuickBooks and see how these forms are different in QuickBooks. So I use Quickbooks Online. The program is very easy to use and it files everything automatically. When I would go to vendors, there is a box that says prepare 1099s. Let's click on it and see what's involved in preparing 1099s for 2020. The Windows comes up with some information regarding your 1099, when they're due. By the way, this year for 2020, forms are due like last year as well, by the end of January. And it tells you that you need to file by January 28 in order to do e-file with QuickBooks and be compliant with IRS. First part would be your company information, which you already set up in QuickBooks, so it's automatically pulled. Now it brings us to a second part, accounts, where I need to categorize payments to contractors. And that's where now we have 2 forms. Form 1099 NEC and Form 1099 miscellaneous. So if you had vendors who you paid on a 1099 and who would you previous years would give 1099 miscellaneous with box 7 filled out, now you would fill out box 1 on a Form 1099 NEC. By the way, if you're in California, 2020 2020 should be your last year when you issue a 1099 NEC. We passed a new law, and as of June 1st, pretty much everybody, and I say everybody, should be as a W-2 employees. But let's look at first at this form and what to put here. So there is a drop down menu that says accounts, and you can click on it and select the account that you paid people as a 1099. For me, it's commission and fees and legal and professional services. I had some people who helped me out during the year, and those accounts are commission and fees and legal and professional fees. For you, it might be something else depending what business you are in. And then you have Form 1099 Miscellaneous, and it already says rents. Rents, it would be if you have office and you paying payments for your office space, maybe you're renting out equipment, something that you pay rent for, whatever is related to your business. Also, you can select other types of payments like royalties, other income, fishing in boat proceeds, medical payments, whatever you use in your business. And right here, it already says which box on Form 1099 Miscellaneous it will go. If you did withhold federal tax, which is very, very uncommon, then you would click here federal tax withhold for Form 1099 Miscellaneous or federal tax withhold for Form 1099 NEC. And then you click next, and it will bring you to contractors, and then it will bring you to review. Right now I'm not clicking anything because the year is not done, and I am not done with my payments, not everything finished and set up. But once you do review, the program walks you through it, flags any mistakes you might have, any missing information, and then you go into file. There is certain fees you pay for file, but those are very little, and they way worth a headache of filing it on your own. If you do file, for example, you use some other program or you use a Quickbooks desktop version and you don't want to use e-file options, you want to do it by paper, you would go to any office supply store, you would get the printed forms, and you would print everything on a form, and you will mail it with the IRS. That's two ways of filing these forms. So that's the news for Form 1099 Miscellaneous and new Form 1099 NEC. I really hope that that was useful, and don't forget to subscribe.